And so we do have round 7 coming up. This is going to be the last round for today, I believe.
I believe that is going to be the last round. Let's go ahead and look at the map list for round 7. Going to be Splat Zones on the Reef, Tower Control on Inkblot, and Rainmaker on Starfish. So Splat Zones Reef we have not seen. Like we talked about before, Reef was the first map made in development, and I believe Splat Zones was the first ranked mode made after Turf War. So this is pretty much as vanilla Splatoon as you can get. Followed by Tower Control and Inkblot Art Academy. So again, we're going to see that top middle structure replaced with 2 side structures, as the tower is forced to push to the left. However, you may flank to the right on Inkblot Art Academy Tower Control, unlike Rainmaker. So we're going to see some different strategies for pushing into the base and a little bit less reliance on long-range weapons to control that choke point. And finally, we're going to see Rainmaker on Starfish main stage. We haven't seen that yet. Again, Starfish main stage typically is a map that's kind of hard to push out of your base with. However, Rainmaker does force the enemy team to push into your base pretty hard, so that also forces them to give up their good positioning. So we should see some back and forth on Rainmaker Starfish main stage. I'm excited for one of these sets to go to Game 3 so we can see that. But if not, Splat Zones on the Reef and Tower Control Inkblot are going to be some pretty interesting game modes.
And a good thing to note about Starfish main stage is, especially with Rainmaker, a little bit more so than Tower Control, is just how much it means that the Rainmaker has to be pushed just a little bit further than the Tower does. And that little extra distance actually makes the games a lot more close than Tower Control could ever be, just because of the nature of how close the Rainmaker needs to get to your spawn. You're probably going to see a lot of back and forth, a lot of teams getting that Rainmaker really, really close to the pedestal, but unable to actually make it to the end without some like insane plays, like a full team wipe.
Yeah. No, just the nature of Rainmaker in general on some of these maps can be very wildly back and forth like that. In general, we saw like in Splatoon 1 also the same thing, where Rainmaker just kind of required the most coordination out of teams. I don't know if you quite remember when Splatoon 1 first was a thing, everybody hated Rainmaker because of how easily like the Rainmaker could get pushed on you, or how like you just couldn't get the knockout, and then the other team would grab it and go for like the same knockout and just get it. So a lot of wild situations can just happen in Rainmaker in general, and like also like we saw like earlier with just not quite getting to the pedestal. But fortunately though, the way tournaments score matches, a win is a win. So you worrying about getting a 5-point win or a knockout doesn't make a difference in the scheme of things. Something that I kind of like about the way a lot of video games do their tournaments compared to, say, some sports where like not only your win but the way you win kind of affects your overall rating. I kind of like the fact that in video games we just kind of give a win and a loss, and you can hold that.
Yeah, so it makes things way simpler.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what you pointed out about Rainmaker. It's so important to note Splat Zones and Tower Control. Both of the scoring, like the way that you score in those game modes, it's like it's hinged somehow. In Splat Zones, you hold the zone and the timer goes down at a fixed rate. Tower Control, you stand on the tower moves at the same speed. In Rainmaker, you actually have control over how fast that the point marker goes up and down, because it's tied to your movement, which is completely free.
Yeah, now of course there is the decision to either get on the tower or not get on the tower, but the decision to move the Rainmaker, how to move the Rainmaker, when to shoot with it, etc., there's definitely a lot more decisions being made there, and they're also not that straightforward. And luckily, we're going to be able to see this really quickly, as we do have all the players in the lobby, and I do believe we can start. It's going to be Extermination versus Creme Fresh. So these are 2 very high-level teams. I do not know who to expect to win this. Both teams did have the game slightly early. Nintendo of Europe have been absolute bros and have been showing a ton of love to their scene, as Creme Fresh and Extermination did have the game early. So
veterans already.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but it is good for us because these 2 teams are high-level teams that have more experience with the game than most, even if only by a small margin at this point. And my cat has came into the room to watch this last set, so that's we have one more viewer.
It's always good to see the Reef, Splat Zones. Interesting map, interesting game mode. The way that the Splat Zone is on this map is that it's below the big bridge in the middle, which makes it puts it below the high ground, and it kind of, nobody really likes being inside the zone. I mean, obviously you don't want to be standing on the zone for just for obvious reasons, but a lot of people just kind of stand to the sides of the zone and just shoot in.
Yes.
And it makes it a really interesting game mode in the sense that it's not, you can't just like sit back with a long range weapon and just paint the zone, as much as you want and, be safe. It's like in order to paint the zone, you actually got to kind of push towards it. So we're probably going to be seeing a lot more close range weapons, a lot more, people trying to play those aggressive roles, like maybe a 10 attack or a tri-slosher that tries to play very, very actively and zaps, stuff like that. Less so of the chargers or maybe like the heavy splylings. We could definitely still see heavy splylings, but the chargers I don't think we're gonna see unless there's some back pocket strategies that I don't know about.
Yeah, I think one other thing to point out about the map one other thing to point out about just the bridge on this map, the reef, is that because the zone is underneath the bridge, it is protected from specials like Tena Missiles and Inkstorm. So maps or specials that are normally really good for painting zone all of a sudden aren't. And other specials and alternates, like you said, about kind of standing to the side of the bridge and shooting underneath from a generally safe position, those kind of strategies are going to be more useful on the reef than they will be on other zones. And then like the specials and such will be more useful as well.
Let me get Inkblot Art Academy tower control. I gotta think here because I don't think I've ever played Inkblot Art Academy tower control.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it in the rotation once.
I played it a bunch of times. So, like we talked about before, how in Rainmaker you had to push up through that choke point on the left side with the Rainmaker, where long-range weapons could watch that choke, and the combination of getting rid of those long-range weapons and getting rid of plate on plat was the only way to move the Rainmaker actually up into the enemy base. It kind of turned it into a low-scoring game type in general.
Yeah.
Right, we can agree on that. Tower control is a little bit different. While you still have to take the tower the same way, you do have the cover of the tower, and also there are extra paintable walls, specifically one in the middle of the map, that let you flank to the right. And that ability to flank to the right completely changes up the dynamic of the map. Whereas in Rainmaker, you kind of see defensive setups that are stopping Rainmaker pushes. In tower control, that threat of the flank from the opposite side really, and the combination of being able to hide behind the tower as it pushes, really change up that kind of defensive strategy where you have to be more active about controlling the map to stop the tower compared to Rainmaker. So what we're probably going to see is a game that scores... We're going to see less of a low-scoring game than we did in Rainmaker on this map earlier, especially with two high-level teams that are going to be able to put together very strong pushes. I definitely expect some of these strong pushes to be much more vivid than the Rainmaker pushes that we saw earlier today.
That's great news. I like seeing some good Splatoon, so that's definitely good to hear. Starfish main stage Rainmaker, I think we've already touched on. It's going to be a lot of more of the same in the sense that it's difficult to push back in Starfish main stage, rough stage, but Rainmaker are going to probably extend the duration of most of those games by quite a bit compared to some of the other game modes.
Yeah, so unfortunately, just to let everyone know, we did have the lobby, but I think Black got the teams wrong, so he had to remake the lobby. But we do have all the player. we do. I think Black just told me a different actual reason why the lobby had to be remade, but I'm going to keep blaming Black because I like making fun of him when he can't talk back and be heard on stream. Either way, all players in the lobby, we are readying up now. They are choosing their weapons. We're about to get on to zones on the reef, and I just want to go over real quick before we start because they are seeming to ready up pretty quick. Both these teams, so Extermination and Creme Fresh, are both German teams as well, which is, I mean, they are a little bit mixed in Europe, but for the most part they're German teams, which is really cool to see that two high-level teams come from the same country in Europe. And also, both of these teams have very strong close-range players and very strong snipers. So I'm really expecting to see a similar setup from both teams, having one sniper and three close-range weapons, maybe a blaster, and all right, we see two blasters, a splatling, and a tri-slasher coming from EXT, so completely unexpected. On the other side, we do have a charger and three close-range weapons, so more of what was expected out of Creme Fresh. This team comp from EXT is pretty interesting, so we'll see how it ends up working out. We do see an opening engagement in the center of the map, auto bombs going down, flanks going down, members of both teams kind of pushing in and out. We don't have a kill yet, so as you can see, these teams kind of high level. The first 20 seconds of the game only resulted in one kill from each side. The zone still isn't taken. Players moving back and forth. Rapid Blaster does have that bomb rush special ready. While the special does go down, the inkjet from Lean also goes down at the same time. So a lot of scramble, which ends up going into the favor of EXT as they use that bomb rush to get the zone.
And EXT did a really, really good job. The Creme Fraiche actually got the control of the zone there, but EXT didn't let that phase them at all. They didn't try and make any ditch effort plays to try and stop them of holding that control. They stayed. They kept their composition. They stayed strong, and then when the time was right, they knew they could start pushing towards the zone, and they had really good teamwork and positioning there in order to make that happen.
Yeah, and I did want to mention, as we saw Banana with the mini Splatling, I'm definitely a fan of the mini Splatling. I didn't like the changed movement speed when I first tried the weapon, but after trying out a little bit with some run speed, maybe some ink resist, etc., as Banana is also running right now, it can be a pretty fluent weapon and really good with map control, paints really well. Unfortunately, though, Banana does get taken out as the enemy team, Creme Fraiche, does start to take points off the zone. In a few seconds, EXT will lose the lead, so they're going to have to use these missiles that Banana is firing towards where Kagusto is fighting. And can those missiles help Kagusto get the kill? It looks like it can, so really good teamwork using combined explosives on that member that Kagusto was fighting. He unfortunately does get taken down in a trade a little bit afterwards. It is the 2v2 situation right now. The Rapid Blaster does not have Bomb Rush yet, so it looks like Creme Fraiche is going to be able to continue taking the zone. If that Bomb Rush can go off, if Banana can help take the zone, they should be able to put a penalty on the timer as some specials are going down, armor's going down, and EXT is able to push into the zone and pick it off.
Down to 23 points though. So while EXT is they've taken control of the zone, they're actually a full wipe too. So while they do have they're looking pretty good right now. They've got a good situation in front of them. They still got quite a ways to go to actually take the lead here. Although there is a 58-point penalty on Creme Fraiche, so it's going to take a while for them to actually be able to make any more progress. So as long as EXT plays this right, this could be a lead. It's going to come down quick. There's only about 20 points left.
Yeah, a lot of map control from this unorthodox comp on the Team EXT. Really nice to see these new comps, whereas like we saw Creme Fraiche kind of show up with the expected, like have their sniper play a sniper and have their 3 players just play kind of basic close range weapons. But despite some deaths happening in the center of the map, EXT is able to take the lead as they are able to actually start pushing the timer down a lot. Tenatech does use its inkjet on the other side of the map, but no one's painting the zone. Creme Fraiche member is not really able to do much. The zone, however, does get painted. Only 2 points left. Creme
It's a
Fraiche
fight.
has to take this
Both
right now,
teams
and
getting
they do
desperate.
not.
They got it back.
Wow, really nice play there from EXT to just put that win together. The combination of the splash damage that we saw, paint control with the mini Splatling and the Bomb Rush was able to kind of allow Kagusto in particular to do really well with that Luna. So I know people said it was nerfed, but that Luna seemed to do pretty well. As I hope that he picks that Luna again in this next match, because I want to see what he was running. I didn't quite take note of that. Looks like there are going to be some substitutions going on right now as we go into game 2. But what a game! A lot of back and forth, a lot of really deliberate plays, a really interesting team comp out of Extermination. I remember when Extermination first started playing this game, they showed up at Ink Cage, which was a qualifier for a high-level league that was international, and they'd never been heard of before. They showed up, they completely destroyed their bracket. They actually knocked us into losers during that tournament when I was on Cyberbullies, and their style of play was very unique and aggressive, and they used a lot of close range weapons to get more map control that would be expected. And as you can see from what we just saw, they did the same there. The longest range weapon on the team was the mini Splatling, which is pretty much an SMG class weapon. So very interesting use of an unorthodox team comp to take a win off of a team like Creme Fraiche, which is very strong, with members like Lean, Kiver, the boss, Brian, and Flair. Pretty much everyone on that team has either they've been on Creme Fraiche doing well for a long time, or they've been on other teams doing well for a long time. It's just a very high caliber set.
And I just like to point out that the supports on Extermination, the mini Splatling especially, did such a good job keeping map control and spreading paint. Extermination had 2 blasters in that set, a Luna Blaster and a Rapid Blaster, which means they were super at a huge disadvantage in terms of how well and fast they could paint. But the supports had the entire team covered. They gave the blasters the map control that they needed to actually do their job, and that was just incredible. The teamwork and the synergy that they have is just top notch right now.
Yeah, no, they definitely all the parts of that machine were deliberate and worked smoothly together. That was a very interesting team comp. And Banana, of course, being a very strong Splatling, he used Zimmy in Splatoon 1, so he's not new to the weapon. Of course, a lot of us Splatlings are having a little bit of a learning curve, getting used to the new one. It is changed. It has a little bit more range, a little bit less movement speed, and a completely different kit. But Banana showing that he knows how to use it well, applying some run speed and some ink resist that he can still do well in combat. Very important for support players to be able to slay on demand. You can't just paint. You can't just sit there and do stuff that isn't combat. Splatoon is not a class-based game. You must be able to win your combat engagements, and Banana showing that he can get into combat and do well, assist teammates, and paint the map all at the same time. So really good by Banana to put together an understanding of the weapon this early in the game's lifetime.
And coming up next, we do have the Inkblot Art Academy Tower Control. We're probably going to see more or less the same team comps coming up from each team. I want to suggest, but again, I haven't actually played this myself, so I'm not sure what kind of stuff you're looking for. The Rapid Blaster and the Charger, probably definitely gonna stay. Rapid Blaster, especially on tower control and especially on a map like this, I can see being very, very strong just due to the nature of the high ground and how it works and how much safety you have just while standing there and holding down your trigger. And yeah, there you go. 2 Rapid Blasters, both teams running dual ink armor.
Yeah, ink armor definitely really strong on this map, and especially on tower control, able to really take advantage of the ink armor to extend a push into the enemy plat, especially with that flank that we talked about. And
Extermination actually isn't dual ink armor, my bad, I looked at that wrong. They've only got one, but they do have the Luna Blaster, trying to make that aggressive play, but unfortunately couldn't pop off with that one there. Extermination down... Creme Fresh actually down 3 players at the start here at the first engagement. Not the biggest push coming out from Extermination, but they're still kind of trying to play to his advantage here, kind of get some map control. They're looking for these pushes. Unfortunately, both teams are actually struggling to try and get their foot in the door here.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, a little bit of a scramble situation that didn't lead to any points for any individual team there at the start of the game. Ink Armor is going down for Creme Fresh right now as they are able to take the tower to the beginning.
These blaster fights. Whoa! This Luna just going ham right now.
Yeah, a lot of kills and revenge kills going down, which is going to cause a situation where Creme Fresh has a bit of an advantage, pushing this tower up to the left. While we see Kyber over there to the right on your screen, also able to kind of push up into the flank. Unfortunately, Kyber gets taken out, and the tower push is stopped. No major points on the board yet, but the boss does have ink armor at the ready. They are able to kind of pincer this tower. We see Kiver on your side pushing up, but no, unfortunately, the boss is going to get taken down out by Gusto. Seemingly, he's also going to be putting on a major KD in this game like he did last game, as he finally gets taken out in the enemy base, but not after getting his teammates the opportunity to push the tower to the lead.
And the communication there, I don't even hear them talking right now, but I know that their communication is just on point right now, because as soon as the player with the NZAP who was sharking at the side of the map there, as soon as they were found, immediately Kagusta with the Luna Blaster was on them, and it's just the callouts and the response from these teams is just incredible right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, like when a team's working well and coordinating well, even if you can't hear the calls, you can tell how their coordination is going down. That all being said, Kagusto and a member of Team EXC are pushing very far up into Creme Fresh's base right now. The Luna does end up getting a double kill, use of that special to stay alive long enough to get close enough, and Kagusto's going to sit here and kind of camp, try to get some spawn kills on Creme Fresh as they try to leave their base while his teammates push the tower, as Kagusto gets another double and finally gets taken out.
And the Luna Blaster, despite being nerfed, we can just see still how strong it is. The two-shot, maybe you can't get those direct hits as reliably anymore, but Luna Blaster is still a very consistent weapon in terms of, it's pretty much always going to be a two-shot kill. And the movement that you have with it, like, you can't do those directs anymore, but the blast range on it is just so big that it doesn't really matter, because you can still get 2 hits as you're moving around.
Yeah, no, the Luna definitely able to be very strong and put in the right position, as Kagusto is able to push up again and get more kills and more assists. He has Baller at the ready, gets the direct falling down. I'm not sure if falling indicates shot spread anymore, but he is going to take the Baller up to the enemy base and just kind of impose himself here. Unfortunately, maybe a little bit overextension. He is going to be taken out by the boss, who does get to work building that meter for his ink armor right away, as Creme Fresh does have a bit of a task ahead of them. They have a minute and a half to get a 35-point push. It's not as hard, like we talked about, as pushing the Rainmaker on this map, but it can be kind of difficult. That being said, another Ink Armor is at the ready, which seems to be going down right away, so Creme Fraiche definitely pushing hard to get this lead right now as they just desperately push for map control. Specials going down, bombs being thrown as the boss is a little bit out of position to help right away. But if he can get into position to start pushing this tower to get some kills, 3v2 situation, 2v2, 1v1 situation now. That is going to be the stop of the push as Kibber, the last member of Creme Fraiche Alive, is taken out by Majin, and that is going to be a complete end to this push.
That was such good timing on a lot of those kills coming up from both teams. Creme Fraiche had a really good initiation to the start of that, where there was 2-3 members down on Extermination, but Extermination was able to cut their losses, and they made sure like they recognized that they were in a losing battle, and what they did was they immediately addressed that they need to take out certain key members, and that's what they did. They got those key people down, which let them open up the kills on the rest of the team, effectively just neutralizing that entire engagement.
Yeah, no, the ability to understand the overall state of the game and have that awareness of when you can and can't push is a big deal. But however, in front of us, in front of our eyes, Creme Fraiche is putting together the push they need.
8 seconds
situation,
left.
Pushing the tower. Only a sniper remains. The sniper is having difficulty getting the pushes right now as he tries to charge through, but gets taken out by Flare on the blaster. However, Banana is able to jump on the tower and stop that would-be comeback, as this is going to be 2-0 for Extermination over Creme Fraiche. What a game.
That was insanely close at the end there. They had a lot of the right positioning they needed to make that comeback and make it a 1-1 set. But the response from Extermination was just too much for them.
Yeah, what high level plays. Unfortunately, we did not get to see the 1-1 situation that we wanted to, but that was a really good display of high level play here in Splatoon 2. And the fun part about that is that tomorrow, which I believe is going to be noon, Blake can tell me that I haven't been paying attention enough if I am wrong about that, but noon tomorrow we are going to move into top 8, if I am correct, which pretty much means that all of the sets are going to be like that.